All right, man, let's talk about this Go chair. So this right here is the back end of a Go chair by Pride Mobility. I'm gonna replace some motors on this power chair. I'm actually gonna show you how to replace motors on this power chair. So with this, you're gonna have to take the cover off. You're gonna have to take the tire off to get to the motor. I believe this one's gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Phillips screws to remove the shell, okay, which is this right here, and I'll show you where the screws are at. And I just put one on there so it kind of stays in place so it doesn't move around a whole bunch. But it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're gonna have to remove these covers right here where they just pop out. I'm wearing gloves, so it's kind of hard, so I'll use a flathead. Now you don't want to scratch it up either, but if you gently kind of go up on it, it comes off. And then you're gonna have another one that's right there. It's gonna be 2 of them right there. So you remove both shroud covers. So you're gonna have 2 more on each end right here. And then if you lift this up, I'm gonna lift this up for a sec. You're also gonna have a couple right here and right there. And then underneath on this side, you're gonna have a couple as well, which are gonna go, as you can see. Let me see if I can get it closer to you guys so you guys can see. You're gonna have one right there, and the other one's gonna be at the bottom. Okay, so you have to remove those in order to take the cover off. Now, to remove the cover, it is a little bit tricky. There is your joystick cable that's right here. So let me remove this Phillip head real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna remove that. Make sure you don't lose any of these. I have a little magnet tray up here that I just kind of stick up there. Okay, so this was kind of tricky because you are able to remove this panel on the back, which you can tell, I mean, there's a little gap in there, but what you would have to do is you would have to remove these stickers, okay? These reflectors on the back of the unit, of the shell. And to do that, if you remove it, as you can tell, this was already kind of cracking, but if you remove this, it's gonna be hard to put back on. So as soon as you do this, what you're gonna do is, as soon as you take the shell, all the Phillips out from the shell, you're just gonna bring this back and it's gonna pop out of place, just like that, okay? Now you are gonna have to, so that comes out like nothing. Really simple to put back on. It's a little bit harder, but I'll show you guys how to do it here in a minute. So I'm gonna put this to the side. Now we are gonna remove the tire. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. And I'm gonna remove this tire. And I believe this one is, what is it? I believe it's 19. I'm not sure if that would turn into maybe a 3/4 maybe. Okay, anyways, let's remove the tire, okay, which is this one right here. So I'm just gonna remove it. Maybe that's not the right size and I'm doing it wrong. Let me see. Let me grab this real quick. Bet you that's what it is. It's just really super tight. So let's loosen it up. My impact wrench is a wuss. All right, so let's pop it back in and that should come off. That should take it off now. There we go. Okay, perfect. So it's gonna come off. I'm gonna put this in my little magnet tray right there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna remove the tire. Again, I'm gonna put it on its other tire. And then once you remove the tire, unless it's, you know, it's a really old power chair or Go chair, a lot of times this tire will get stuck, so you'll have to use a hub puller to pull it out. But in my case, this one is pretty simple. So you're gonna take that off. You are gonna have a washer that looks like that, and then you're gonna have your motor key, okay? That motor key is gonna go right in between the stem right there, okay? And that's what's gonna hold the wheel to spin with the motor. If you don't have that key right there, it's just gonna basically be on freewheel the whole time, and you don't want that. So I'm gonna put this to the side. Just put it right there. I'm gonna put this stuff on my tray so we don't lose it. Okay, so once we get to this part right here, you're gonna have a couple of hex bolts right here that you are gonna have to remove, okay? I would start with these right here. These are a couple, again, a hex bolt with a nut in the back, and those are gonna be 1/2 inch. So you could use your impact drill, and I'll show you guys real quick. Let me see if I could find, let me come over here and grab my other 1/2 inch. Here it is. Okay, so here's my 1/2 inch, okay? Hopefully you guys can see that. So, and I'm just gonna remove one, so it's not too long of a video, but I'm gonna hold that in place, and then I'm gonna take that off. Perfect, so that came off. There's your nut right here. You got a spacer in between, and then you do have you have a couple of spacers right in between as well, okay, that you're gonna have to remove, and then you got your hex bolt, okay, and that just comes across all the way. So you're gonna remove 2 of them. You're gonna remove the right and the left side, and I'll go ahead and tighten back this up. There we go, that's nice and tight. Okay, so we got that part, we got this other side, and then you're gonna have to remove as well these flange bolts right there, or hex bolts, which are gonna be these 2, okay? So just remove those completely, and then there's gonna be one more that you're gonna have to remove in order for the motor to come out, in order for the motor to come off from the bracket, okay? Which is gonna be, hopefully you guys can see that, it's gonna be this one right there, okay? That one right there, and that one has a spacer, 2 spacers, and one of the spacers already has threads. So all you would have to do is get your 1/2 inch, pop that in, we're gonna go back it up, there we go, and it's gonna back up, okay? And what's gonna happen is, now this one I would probably do these 2 hex bolts right here last, so the motor holds in place, but then I would put this one last, okay? I hope I didn't get confused. So I would remove everything first, but I would remove these last, okay? These 2, and then when you put everything back on, I would put this one last. That would be your final to put on, because once you put everything on, everything's gonna be in place, and I'm gonna tell you why here in a minute. So once I remove this bolt, you're gonna notice that the spacer right underneath here, and hopefully you guys can see that, this one right here, okay, it's just gonna come off. Pretty simple, but to put back on is gonna be a pain in the butt, and I'll tell you guys why here in a minute. So here's this right here, and let me take this off. I don't know why this was on here like that. I had tried different things to make this one work, but I'm gonna show you an easier way. This is just me talking nonsense, by the way. But let's remove that. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you to put this one on last is because you do have this plastic spacer right here, okay? That goes in first, right up in this area, okay? And then you're gonna have your other spacer that has threads already. But the reason I'm saying it's hard is because if you try to put it on like that right now, it's gonna keep on falling, okay? So this is gonna be your last one. So let's say that you already put everything together. I'm just gonna make sure everything's nice and tight. I didn't loosen everything else up. So all this is nice and tight. You have your new motor. You disconnected it from your control module, which is this one right here. You're gonna disconnect that for your motor. You put the new motor on. Everything is good to go. So the next thing you're gonna do before you put this on is you're gonna put your wheel back on, okay? So let me get my key, which is right there, okay? I'm gonna pop it back in here. Now this one, it is loose as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. See how it kind of comes off, so you have to hold it in place. I'm gonna grab my drive tire and I'm gonna pop this in here. Make sure that that key grabs onto it. There we go. Perfect. So it's not going anywhere. I'm gonna put my washer. Let me grab that, which is right here. I'm gonna pop it in there, and then I'm gonna grab the nut and put it back in here, and then we'll go ahead and pop it back in. So let me do that real quick. This is gonna be the easiest way to put that other bolt that's missing. Okay, so it's nice and tight now. Now what you're gonna do is, because remember, you still have these two right here that you have to put in, that you have to put on, that goes right back here, okay? So you put everything else in, you put your drive tire on already. What you're gonna do is, you're gonna flip everything upside down. So this tire is gonna be on the bottom, okay? So let's flip it. Voila. Okay, now that you flipped it, check it out. It's gonna be a lot easier to pop this in. Now let's give it a try. So you have your plastic washer or spacer that goes in between first. So we'll pop that in there. Oops. And you might need a flathead to kind of hold it in place. So you pop that in there. You put your spacer, that threaded spacer, that's gonna go in there as well. Okay, so once you do that, I'm gonna get my Allen key and run it through that hole just to make sure that it lines up, which it did already, as you can tell.